Sarah, please.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Colleen Philippa Ho.
David.
Sarah.
I'm feeling a little bit stressed because I've been all day out at Lincoln University and it's kind of a bit of a culture shock getting here and getting into this. But
Did you say you're at the university?
at the Lincoln University, yes. I'll mention it later in our submission, actually.
Thank you.
Look, SOC strongly support this priorities listed in the section Working in Partnership. We wanted to open with that statement because really, really strongly support those priorities. Speaking to the Climate Resilience Fund, SOC want to continue to see a robust mitigation effort, emissions reductions, trying to achieve targets set by the City Council. As the City Council declared a climate emergency in 2019 and have a stated goal of 50% citywide emissions reductions by 2030, we would appreciate citizens, ratepayers being told specifically what steps you're taking to meet that goal. We thank those councillors who are doing their best to push for a low-carbon city. The climate models of 2019 are no longer applicable. The increased speed with which glaciers and tundra are melting are rapidly affecting countries with low shorelines. Current mitigation and greenhouse gas reduction plans must be dramatically accelerated to achieve targets set by the Council. By 2050, climate disruption will dominate the global economy. Our trading partners such as China, Australia and India are more vulnerable than we are. Tech solutions and nature-based solutions should be pursued vigorously, even though it's unrealistic to hope that these measures can stabilise the climate. Adaptation will be essential. To address CO2 emissions, climate adaptation, risk management and resilience, we support methods such as nature-based solutions, spatial urban planning, natural coastal buffer zones, mass rapid transport, shifting to wind and solar, and regulations for raising buildings and bridges to allow canals and streets into the future. Linwood Avenue may once again need to be planned as a canal. Today we attended a seminar day on circular bioeconomy at Lincoln University, Sarah and I did. There are a lot of different tools that we need for climate resilience. What do we value most and do not want to do without? Well, I'm going to lead off with the implementation of the City Council's Urban Forest Plan, because in a way it segues from our talking to the Climate Resilience Fund. We want to have reducing groundwater levels, flooding, carbon emissions and heat island effects. We support a significant increase in park, street and subdivision trees. We would like to see such work on private property through regulatory processes, for example, resource and building consents. Now, I'm very sorry, but I actually did not finish what I meant to say in relation to the Climate Resilience Fund because I've got added this piece of paper late in the piece. So I want to go back to say that SOC does not support spending large on temporary adaptation measures like long concrete seawalls. Neither can we as a city afford to subsidise property owners who ignore warnings and build or buy inappropriately, particularly where sea level is rising faster than previously thought. We do, however, need a plan for helping people caught out in a difficult position due to no fault of their own. We'd like some compassion around this and for part of the Climate Resilience Fund to be used for that purpose, if at all possible. We understand with climate change as predicted, the risks and issues Council are facing are enormous. Back to what we value most and don't want to do without. Funds for community-led work. One of our committee members, Dr. Joyce Yeager, has developed a project looking at the microfauna of Whakaropo Littleton Harbour. Her work is centred to a conference in Copenhagen at the moment, or she would have been with us tonight. Joyce's local Indigenous biodiversity project is supported by the Biodiversity Fund. We want to say that the relatively small amounts of money that the City Council provide to community led work unlocks projects of so much more scope and value. We also support the Community Waterways Partnership. We appreciate the input from the City Council. We are a partner organisation. The relationships we have within that network, including through Georgina, your council person, is valuable to us. It's a matrix of effort, coordination and knowledge. We're not working in silos. Libraries. We value libraries. Libraries for SOC represent community. We have delivered some significant education programs at Tūrang and other libraries around the city, including Speaking for the Planet. Many of us do value the library buildings, their diverse facilities and the vast availability of books that we can't afford to buy but can borrow from the libraries. Cycleways. David's a cyclist, that's why I looked at him pointedly.
Except tonight.
These fit in, I was going to get him to read it, but I'll read it. These fit in your priority for the capital program of adapting to climate change. SOC strongly support Council continuing to develop our cycleway network as soon as possible. We would support Council borrowing to build this infrastructure. It is building for our future, especially since cycling in our flat, open city has great potential. Such long-term assets for the city will rapidly become significant. Yes, we were concerned, particularly in the early days of our cycleways, at what some of us saw as over-engineering or trial and error. But cycleways are a pragmatic, affordable, common-sense response to real-world transport and pollution problems. Ask anyone who has spent 40 minutes getting from one end of an inner-city arterial route to another, who has got caught up in peak hour gridlock. I walk my dog along the Avon or Takaro River adjacent to Revolution about 3 times a week and observed a dramatic increase in the number of cyclists on that stretch, both recreational cyclists and commuters, when the new cycleway was recently completed. When you build cycleways, cyclists and pedestrians and joggers do come. They get busier and busier. Getting people out of cars into alternatives is a win-win-win for everyone. It must be a choice. Many people won't make that choice for safety reasons without cycleways. Safer and more enjoyable cycling is enhanced by the 30 to 40 kilometre speeds for cars.
I find that makes a big difference, and it doesn't really slow the traffic flow.
We know we cannot always choose cycling. Many SOC people are cyclists, but we are also often reliant on cars and public transport. Cycleways are something all of us support though. Less traffic means less problems and cost for drivers, City Council planners and engineers, and ratepayers. Thank you very much.
Okay, Celeste, do you have questions? Yes, please.
There was a lot, but I'll just pick up on the last one around the cycleways. Is there areas that you'd like to see progress faster, and also how we do it? Is there any suggestions as to how we approach that to speed the work up, apart from making sure that we actually do the work?
I'm finding that when the traffic slowed down to 30 to 40, the traffic flows better in a major city, and it's much safer, and you can narrow this so there's slightly more room for a line or maybe 2 lines for the cyclists. That just that extra, even 1 foot, makes a difference, especially when a truck comes past. I think that's the major thing. More just slow down the traffic and have a little bit more room for the cyclists with a white line or.
And can I mention the Park Terrace? I mean, putting it in, trialling it, low cost, putting it in to trial it before you do the high cost work, making sure that you've smoothed out some of the mistakes that you're making before you put in the engineered solutions.
Yep.
I think that's really good. I'd really personally like to see the Te Aratai connection. I drive down that road so often, and it's such a busy road. It is so visually busy. I would really like to see that connection made really soon. Other than that,
I'd like to say one thing, cycling, usually there's peak traffic and going one way. And I don't mind actually having a 2-way traffic, which is to be a bit more alert. We have to be anyway. And most of the time the traffic is going one way. Seldom is it coming 2 ways at the same time. So you can do it a lot cheaper on a lot more cycle paths. Yeah, binary, yes. But we just have to go a little bit slower. But we get there still because it's the lights that slow me down more than anything else. So the lights phases aren't in line.
Tyler, please.
Kia ora, team. I use the Uni Cycleway and the South Express quite often. Love them. But a question, there's an interesting approach in terms of the speed of the car. sort of determining the feeling of safety with cycling infrastructure. So, for example, if a road was 30, would you feel the need to have to put in a concrete?
Definitely not.
Barrier?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's where the cars and the trucks are going too fast.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And they're just that far away. And of course, we as a cyclist, we have to slow down in case a door opens. So you need that extra space.
So it sounds like
Electric
you're
bike makes
proposing
it easier. You can accelerate, but I'm slowing down and speeding up continually.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler.
Cool.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and good to see you. And sorry we're so late.
Oh, no, that was fun. It was really interesting listening to David.
Good idea. Thank you. Now
David Close.
we've got Pam and Brian and is it Flora or Floor?